When a wise man hears that something has already been planned by God, he does not fall to his knees in fear. He does not begin to ask 1,000 questions, nor does he run to others in search of comfort or prediction. Instead, he becomes still. And this is what we must first understand. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of clarity. It is not weakness, it is a form of spiritual strength. Because when a plan has already been decided in the higher realms, your only choice is how you will meet it. Not whether you will escape it, not whether you will edit it, but who you will be when it arrives. When the end of something is already written, your path is not to resist the writing. Your path is to cultivate the character worthy of living through it. Most people fear the idea that something is already decided. They panic because they think it means they have no power. But this is not true. What they don't realize is that the greatest power you have is not to control what happens, but to master your state when it happens. The leaf cannot stop the storm, but it can learn not to break when the wind passes. And the tree, standing rooted in the ground, knows that strength lies in what is hidden, the roots beneath the soil, unseen but unwavering. So now, in this moment, as the end of June 2025 approaches and God has already spoken, you are not being asked to act out of fear. You are being asked to prepare in wisdom. This is a different path, a different energy. You must become like the monk before dawn, quiet, composed, mindful. You must become like the warrior before battle, not chaotic, not emotional, but deeply focused. The battle is not always external. The greater war is always internal. Ask yourself this question. What do you do when you hear that something beyond your control is approaching? Do you freeze? Do you speak endlessly of fear? Or do you breathe deeply and begin your inner work? The truth is, when the higher realms reveal a message such as this, it is all planned. They are not revealing it to frighten you. They are revealing it to give you time. Time to adjust your energy. Time to observe your attachments. Time to stop walking in destruction and come back to the center of your being. Stillness is the gate through which clarity walks. You will never see truth if your mind is full of noise. We live in a time where people believe movement is power. They chase answers, chase signs, chase validation. But in doing so, they run away from the one thing that could save them: silence. There is a great paradox in spiritual training. The less you seek to escape, the more you are prepared. The more you face what is coming with peace, the more you can act without panic. It is not the storm that destroys a man. It is the man who has not trained his spirit for the storm. Even a candle can stay lit in a cave if there is no wind. But to keep that flame alive in open air, you need discipline, balance, and inner control. Let this be your preparation now. Do not ask for details. Do not chase the calendar with fear. Instead, turn your awareness inward. Ask, am I living with attention? Am I walking through each day with purpose? Am I speaking words that build or words that destroy? Am I attached to things I secretly know are not worthy of me? These are the real questions. These are the meditations that transform you from someone who reacts to someone who responds. A leaf reacts, a mountain responds. Many people will approach the end of June with noise. They will speak of conspiracies, of signs, of fear. They will run in circles, trying to find something or someone to protect them. But those on the path, the real path, will be sitting in stillness, breathing, observing, reflecting, preparing, because spiritual strength is not about how loudly you speak. It is about how deeply you are rooted. A monk does not shout that he is calm. He is calm. He does not warn the world that he is ready. He simply is. This is what you are being called to become. A silent warrior, a focused soul, not one who begs for escape, but one who trains for impact. The moment you know something is already planned, it is no longer your task to avoid it. It is your task to embody your highest form. Imagine a great wave is coming. You have no power to stop the wave, but you have every power to steady your breath, to position your feet, to align your energy so that you rise with it, not drown beneath it. Stillness is often misunderstood in this modern world. It is seen as laziness or weakness or hesitation. But in the spiritual disciplines, stillness is an art. It is an internal alignment where your mind is no longer pulled in every direction. It is a return to center. It is the practice of being fully here, not in the past, not in the future, but in the present moment, where true power exists. Because when God plans something, He does not ask your opinion. He invites your preparation. Think of this like the ringing of a bell in a temple. That sound is not meant to startle you. It is meant to remind you that now is the time to wake up. Now is the time to be clear. Now is the time to stop wasting your energy on things that weaken your spirit. The world is full of distractions, scrolling, speaking, comparing, chasing. But the soul is strengthened in silence. The soul becomes sharp in solitude. If you walk through your day without awareness, without focus, without control of your emotions, what use is it to know what is coming? You will be caught off guard anyway. But if you live with attention, with discipline, with presence, then no matter what comes at the end of June 2025, it will not shatter you. It may test you, it may challenge you, but it will not break what is already grounded. This is what it means to walk the path of the Shaolin, to train the self to remain calm in chaos, to remain empty of noise and full of awareness, to hold your posture even when the world around you is trembling, and when you hear it is all planned, you do not cry out in fear, you bow your head in respect. Because the plan is not for your punishment, the plan is for your awakening. What is coming is not something to escape, it is something to meet. But how you meet it determines what it becomes for you. For one man, a storm is destruction. For another, it is cleansing. For one woman, a silence is empty. For another, it is healing. The difference is not in the event. The difference is in the spirit with which you greet it. So if God has planned something for the end of June 2025, you are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are being reminded. This is not the end of the world. This is the end of illusion, the end of spiritual laziness, the end of wandering without purpose. And beginnings often arrive disguised as endings. But only the still mind sees this. Look around your life now. Where are you still restless? Where are you still attached? Where are you still running from your own reflection? These are the places you must train. These are the areas that must be strengthened. You do not need to fight the whole world. You only need to bring your spirit into alignment. And from that center, clarity will rise, like the sun through the mist. At the Shaolin Temple, when we are told that change is coming, we do not panic. We clean. We sweep the floor. We polish the tools. We breathe. We fast. We stretch the body. We still the mind. Because we understand that a storm can be a purification, if you are ready. And the only way to be ready is to become deeply present with yourself. Stillness is a choice. In every moment, you are choosing what to tune into. You are choosing what energy to invite. So choose to align with the eternal. Choose to align with what strengthens you, not what drains you. The voice of fear will always be louder at first, but the voice of wisdom is deeper. And once you find it, you will not need to hear anything else. Remember this, when the end is already written, your beginning matters more. How you start your day, how you treat your time, how you speak to your soul. Every moment is shaping you for what is coming. And if it is true that God has planned something for the end of June, then the most powerful act you can do now is not to guess what it will be, but to become someone who is unshakable no matter what it is. The way of the warrior is not loud. The way of the sage is not public. It is internal, invisible, but undeniable. And when the final day of June arrives, those who have trained in stillness will not be caught off guard. They will simply nod, because they were waiting, not in fear, but in readiness, not in panic, but in peace. And so, begin now. Begin with stillness, because the plan is already written, but who you are when you meet it, that is still being written today. We have to honor what tomorrow. When a divine plan is unfolding, many people lift their eyes to the heavens and look for thunder. They look for lightning, signs in the sky, announcements on the wind. But those who have trained in stillness, those who have walked the path of inner mastery, do not look for drama. They look for the smallest details. The presence of the sacred is never loud. It is not in the earthquake. It is in the breath. It is not in the explosion. It is in the stillness of a leaf before the wind begins to move. That is where the true message begins. God does not only act in large, sweeping gestures. More often, he moves like water, quiet, persistent, humble, and unnoticed. And when he says it is all planned for the end of June 2025, we are being invited not to panic, not to rush, but to observe. Because the greatest transformations in life do not start with noise. They start in the silent choices you make before the world sees them. You become what you are not when the big event comes, but in how you move through the smallest rituals of your day. People want change. They ask for miracles. They pray for transformation. And yet they dismiss the very places where transformation begins. They ignore how they wake up in the morning. They neglect how they speak to others when no one is watching. They underestimate the power of the thoughts they repeat every day. But these are the bricks of your future. These are the ingredients of your reality. These are the seeds of the very plan that God is unfolding before you. If the end of June is the flowering, then now, today, is the planting. And if you are not careful, you will miss the opportunity to shape what is coming. Not because you were incapable, but because you were inattentive. The monk sharpens his awareness in how he walks, how he breathes, how he eats. Because he knows that what you do in silence, when no one is watching, echoes louder in the universe than what you shout before the world. When the divine makes a plan, the smallest moments matter most. This is the law of the Spirit. If God intends to bring something forth, he will first whisper into the lives of the attentive. He will first rearrange small habits, send soft nudges, change your sleep patterns, stir your intuition. You may feel discomfort. You may sense that something is shifting. You may not be able to explain it in words, but your body knows. Your soul knows. And when you feel this, you must listen, because this is how heaven prepares the earth. We live in a time where people glorify the visible. They worship outcomes, platforms, applause. But the real training, the lasting transformation, happens in the invisible realm. And the ones who are truly prepared for what is coming are not those who talk the most. They are those who are already living differently, long before the rest of the world catches on. These are the ones who are adjusting their internal posture. These are the ones who are planting seeds of stillness, discipline, awareness, and compassion. And these seeds will bloom exactly when the divine timing arrives. Do not overlook the ordinary. Do not dismiss the seemingly small. If you want to be prepared for the end of June 2025, if you truly believe that God has planned something for that time, then begin by honoring this time. Begin by watching the little moments that fill your life. Your first thought in the morning. Was it grounded or filled with fear? The tone in your voice. Was it sharp with ego or soft with patience? The way you eat your food. Was it rushed and distracted or sacred and present? These are not trivial questions. These are the sacred doorways. Because your external world will always reflect your inner frequency, and the way to tune that frequency is through conscious practice in the smallest acts. If your daily routine is chaotic, reactive, filled with impulsive emotion, how will you be calm when a great shift arrives? If you do not train your focus when nothing is happening, how will you see clearly when everything begins to move? The Shaolin Way teaches that every moment is an opportunity to train. Not just the moment you step into the arena, not just the day of the challenge, but every step leading to it. Every breath is part of the preparation. And this is why monks bow before each meal, why they walk slowly in the halls, why they sit in silence even when no one is instructing them. Because they know that the divine is watching, and more importantly, they know that the divine is shaping. Not in storms, but in whispers. You must learn to hear those whispers. If your mind is loud, you will miss them. If your life is noisy, you will not recognize the signs. People wait for God to shout, but God has always preferred to whisper. He whispers through the pain you try to ignore. He whispers through the resistance you feel when doing what is right. He whispers through the dreams you keep burying beneath your fears. And the moment you choose to sit in silence, to really listen, you will realize He has been speaking all along. This is why the small moments matter, because they are not just filler between the big events. They are the spiritual gym. They are the battlefield where your habits are tested and your discipline is formed. And when the appointed time comes, when June ends and God's plan unfolds, you will not be made strong in that moment. You will only reveal how strong you already are. You will not become wise overnight. You will only display the wisdom you train in the silence of your routine. So do not ask, what is the plan? Ask, am I living in harmony with that plan? Do not chase signs in the sky. Look for alignment in your character. Do your actions reflect your prayers? Does your posture reflect your faith? Does your silence reflect your peace? These are the questions that prepare the warrior. These are the questions that guard the soul. People often want to do great things. They say, I want to be ready for anything, but they cannot even sit still for 5 minutes. They say, I want to walk with God, but they cannot walk away from their distractions. This is not judgment. It is a reminder, because walking with God is not a theory. It is a discipline. And that discipline is forged in the fire of small, consistent, intentional choices. When you rise each day with awareness, when you offer your words with kindness, when you bring presence to your meals, your steps, your thoughts, you are not just being spiritual. You are tuning your frequency to match the frequency of the divine plan. And when your frequency is aligned, you will find yourself at the right place at the right time with the right heart. So if God has planned something for the end of June 2025, then your preparation starts now. Not in some grand declaration, not in waiting for confirmation, but in how you live this moment. You must become a master of the moment, because the moment is where eternity enters. And if you cannot hold the present moment, you will be overwhelmed when the future arrives. A monk once said, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And this is why the smallest moments carry the most weight. They are the rehearsal for your destiny. They are the foundation on which the divine builds his plan. If you rush through life, always waiting for the main event, you will miss the training that gives you the strength to stand when that event comes. So walk slowly, speak consciously, breathe deeply. Begin to observe where your energy goes. Begin to reclaim your presence. Do not let your mind be scattered like dry leaves in the wind. Center it, gather it, hold it steady. Because when the plan is revealed and the moment of transformation arrives, you will not be given time to build your foundation. That time is now. And remember, preparation is not about knowing everything. It is about being stable in the unknown. It is not about predicting what will happen. It is about trusting who you are when it happens. And that trust is built not in one day, but in the repetition of small disciplines, practiced in silence, witnessed by heaven. So sweep your room with care, bow before your meals, greet others with presence, tend to your body like it is a sacred temple, monitor your thoughts like a silent guardian. These are not spiritual cliches. These are the sacred technologies of inner mastery. These are the real weapons that protect the soul when divine plans unfold. And in the quiet of your own preparation, in the stillness of your own steps, you will begin to feel it. Not as fear, but as alignment. not as dread, but as clarity. The plan is coming, but the preparation is already here. And those who honor the smallest moments now will not be shaken when the great moment arrives. The divine always builds from the bottom up. He does not place towers on sand. He lays foundations. And your habits, your rituals, your thoughts, your breath, these are the ground. Strengthen them, purify them, respect them. Because the plan of June's end will not rest on what you say. It will rest on what you have become. And becoming is not a performance. It is a practice, a daily, sacred, silent practice. Would you like the third keynote expanded next? It is a strange thing how the human being, when faced with transformation, almost always clings to what is familiar, even when what is familiar is causing suffering. There is a deep instinct in many people to hold tightly to what they have known, even if it is heavy, even if it no longer serves them, even if it keeps them small. So when the divine voice whispers, it is all planned, and that plan includes a shift, a breaking, a rearranging, the ego rises first. Not in reverence, but in fear. It says, why must things change? It says, this is not the time. But the soul does not ask such questions. The soul remembers. The soul has always known that change is not a punishment, it is a passage. If something is coming at the end of June 2025, and if that something is part of God's design, then understand this deeply. What is being asked of you is not your approval of the plan. What is being asked is your surrender to what the plan is shaping you into. People think surrender is weakness. They confuse it with giving up. But in the path of spiritual training, surrender is the highest form of inner strength. It is the act of allowing the flow of life to enter your structure and reconfigure you into something purer, something sharper, something more aligned with who you are meant to become. When the plan includes disruption, most people call it chaos. When it includes loss, most people call it unfair. When it includes unfamiliar territory, they call it danger. But all these reactions are symptoms of a mind that has not been disciplined. The undisciplined mind sees every crack as destruction. The trained mind sees that cracks are often the first signs of the shell breaking, so that the light can come in. Nothing truly meaningful enters a life without breaking something open, whether it is the heart, the pride, the old identity, or the rigid plans we once made. Something must be dismantled. And this dismantling is not the work of cruelty. It is the work of preparation. The question is not, why is this happening to me? The question is, what part of me must evolve in order to meet this moment with grace? When you resist change, you resist the very hand that is trying to lift you. And when you hold tightly to the familiar, you may miss the extraordinary that is trying to enter your life. God's plan is not always soft, but it is always sacred. It does not always arrive in ways that feel comfortable. Sometimes it arrives in ways that leave you breathless. But breathlessness is not always a sign of harm. Sometimes it is the gasp that comes when your soul realizes it is finally awake. At the Shaolin Temple, when change comes, we do not meet it with loud protest. We meet it with silent reflection. We ask, what is this here to teach? Because in every shaking of the earth, there is a lesson buried beneath. And if you are wise enough to sit with it, to breathe through it, to remain unmoved in the chaos, you will find it. The world teaches you to fight for stability, but the path teaches you that true stability comes not from holding on, but from letting go of what was never meant to stay. And this is the paradox, that the more you cling, the more you suffer, but the more you release, the more you rise. Think of the river. It never resists the rocks in its path. It flows, it bends, it curves, but it does not stop. And in the end, it wears down even the hardest stone. This is the power of surrender. Not passivity, but patient, persistent trust in movement. Trust in direction. Trust in what is guiding you, even if you do not yet understand why. If the plan of God includes a turning point at the end of June, then your task is not to control the turning. Your task is to prepare your spirit, to pivot without panic, to step without hesitation, to meet the unknown not as a threat, but as a teacher. You cannot walk the spiritual path with control in your pocket. You must walk it with empty hands, ready to receive, ready to be redirected. Pain often comes not from the change itself, but from the resistance to it. You suffer not because something is leaving your life, but because you keep chasing it as it goes. You break not because you are being stretched, but because you are holding rigidly to what no longer fits. And what no longer fits must fall away if the next version of you is to emerge. The caterpillar never becomes the butterfly by negotiation. It must go through the cocoon. It must dissolve. It must surrender. It must lose its old form to discover its flight. And the same is true for you. You cannot step into the next chapter if you are clutching the pages of the last one. You cannot welcome the divine plan if you are still trying to write your own with a fearful hand. To resist change is to argue with the very intelligence that created you. It is to tell the architect of the universe that you know better. And this is not the energy of one who walks in wisdom. This is the energy of one who has forgotten who they are. You were not created to be static. You were created to evolve, to shed, to transform, to adapt. And every shedding, every transformation, every adaptation requires discomfort. But discomfort is not damage. It is a signal. It is the body, the heart, the mind adjusting to a new frequency. And if you can stay present with it, if you can breathe through the tension rather than flee from it, you will emerge on the other side, not weaker, but clearer, not broken, but rebuilt. So do not fear the end of June. Do not approach it with clenched fists or closed minds. If something divine is planned, it is for your realignment. It is not for your destruction. What is false in your life may fall. What is misaligned may be exposed. What is heavy may be removed. But these are not losses. They are liberations. These are not endings. And if you train your spirit to stop resisting, you will finally start receiving. Receiving is not always joyful in the beginning. Sometimes it is heavy. Sometimes it is confusing. Sometimes it comes wrapped in things that look like setbacks. But the wise do not judge the package. They open it with care. And eventually they see that what looked like darkness was actually soil. And in that soil, something sacred had been planted all along. There is no part of your life that God cannot repurpose. No pain that cannot be turned into strength. No fall that cannot become foundation. But the doorway to all of that opens only when you stop fighting the flow. Surrender does not mean stop moving. It means move with trust. It means move with awareness. It means allow yourself to be shaped, not shattered. You are not being punished by the plan. You are being positioned. You are being pulled out of the places that can no longer contain you. That is why things are shifting. That is why you feel what you feel. And if you let go of the fear, even for a moment, you will see it clearly. This is not the end. It is the invitation. An invitation to be new, an invitation to return to what is real. What breaks you is not the change. What breaks you is the illusion that you were supposed to stay the same. But you were not born to remain in one place forever. You were born to rise in stages, to walk through doorways, to enter valleys and climb peaks. And each stage demands that you loosen your grip on the last. So loosen now. Loosen with grace. Do not wait for the storm to rip it from your hands. Let it go willingly. Let it go with reverence. Because what is coming has no space for what you were. It only has space for what you are becoming. Let the divine plan unfold. Let the old crumble if it must. Let your identity stretch. Let your spirit breathe. There is wisdom in the unknown. There is light even in the places that feel like endings. And those who embrace the shift will find that it was never about loss. It was always about revelation. You are not here to be safe. You are here to be real. You are not here to stay small. You are here to expand. And expansion requires space. Change creates that space. And God uses that space to move closer. So step back from your resistance. Step into your awareness. Watch what is trying to leave. Honor what is being born, and walk gently through the fire, knowing that the fire is not your enemy. The fire is your awakening. Would you like the fourth keynote expanded next?